5 o'clock with car theft caught on camera this week in Northwest Portland. It's a crime happening more and more in our area. Listen to this. On average, 30 cars are stolen every day in the city, and police are trying to keep up. Here's Christelle Kumwe.
Car thefts are skyrocketing in Portland, and officers say they're working hard to find those cars. Sometimes luck plays a role too.
And I just started shaking because I was like, that's my car.
Alexa Vandercook found her own Subaru herself. Someone stole it Tuesday. The crime caught on camera. Her husband's wallet was in that car, and the thief used his credit card. It was a blessing in disguise. Vandercook now knew exactly where to look.
I looked to my left and on Ivy Street and MLK, I saw my taillights. I was the only one that was going to get my car back.
Like a lot of Portlanders, Vandercook knows police are understaffed and overwhelmed. Car thieves know that too.
This is a major challenge. It's been difficult for us to address the challenge.
In September alone, 903 cars were reported stolen in the city, up from 658 in September of last year. But police stress they're working on it. Earlier this week, North Precinct officers recovered 33 stolen vehicles in 48 hours. Police were out again on Thursday.
They focused on a camp that was just off of Airport Way, kind of the 13800 block to about 146. And they found 11 stolen vehicles there.
Those vehicles were stolen from all over the area, from Hillsborough to Vancouver. Police stats show 77% of stolen vehicles are recovered within 30 days, with 89% recovered to date. Police say those recovery stats give them hope.
The problem is no doubt pretty pronounced, especially in North Precinct. So the officers are doing everything they can to try to address this and try to get those vehicles back to their owners.
People like Alexa Vandercook are just relieved to get the cars back. Her Subaru had some damage to the outside.
He tore off my license plate and had left scratches on my rear hatch.
And the inside was trashed.
There were meth pipes, there were knives, there were clothes, there was trash. It reeked.
But long term, her car will be fine.
I was very fortunate that I had found it.
A small victory that frees up police to focus on this frustrating trend. Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
We have an update tonight on a situation near George Fox University in Newberg. Police say it appears an intoxicated man was behind a scare this afternoon. Police say the man was shooting a gun in the air outside his home. This was near the Chehalem Aquatic Center and the George Fox campus. The school told students to shelter in place while this was happening due to reports of shots being fired. Police say the man refused to come out of his home when they contacted him. Officers then backed off, hoping to de-escalate things. The situation has now been resolved. Police haven't released the suspect's name. Nobody was hurt. An update on the stolen band equipment we covered earlier this week. The equipment was found. Armando Cortez is the director of the band Grupo Nobles. His truck and the thousands of dollars worth of equipment were stolen from his yard. He recorded the entire incident through security cameras. And this is video of him taking his equipment back. Hope we'll be able to show you that. There is still no sign of his truck, but now the band will be able to perform together again. The FBI is warning Oregonians on a recent bomb threat scam businesses across the state are receiving. The caller threatens to detonate bombs they say are planted in the building if recipients call the police or refuse to send them ransom money. The FBI says callers are asking for $5,000 to $20,000. Internet service providers, education institutions, and healthcare providers are currently being targeted. The messages also include death threats to the recipients and their families. If you believe you are a victim of an internet crime, the FBI says to file a complaint at the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and that's ic3.gov. Last night, we heard from Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler about the gun violence plaguing our city. Tonight, he's speaking out about the homeless crisis. He says there are just too many unsanctioned camps in the city, and it's time to start clearing them, especially those close to schools, sensitive natural areas, homes, and businesses. The mayor's focused on finding areas that would give those experiencing homelessness access to some basic services like toilets, water, laundry, and maybe even transportation.
The goal should be 0 unsanctioned homeless camps in the city of Portland. Why? Because that is humane. Allowing people to live in squalor and to be victimized on the street, that is inhumane.
We'll have much more on this, including reaction from a homeless advocate, coming up at 6 o'clock on The Story.
It was reported that there was a car in the house and then the car had started on fire.
But Lake Oswego fire officials say that's not the full story. Police say the driver of that car is hospitalized in critical condition. But as Christine Pitawanich found out, there's more to the images than meets the eye.
The call came in around 10:30 Thursday night near Country Club Road and Iron Mountain Boulevard in Lake Oswego.
It was reported that there was a car in the house and then the car had started on fire.
Hertz Zoutendijk with Lake Oswego Fire says first responders are accustomed to those types of calls, but this one was different, and the video doesn't tell the whole story.
It's kind of self-explanatory in a way, but it was completely different than what we've seen, really in our careers. When our firefighters arrived initially, they couldn't see the car.
They had to work fast. The car was on fire, catching the house on fire, and the person in the car was trapped.
The firefighters actually had to cut the wall to gain access to that room where the car was in. So the car flew and went airborne, crashed on top of the house, and then fell down into the closet in the house.
Zoutendijk says 2 adults and a teenager living in the home, as well as their dog, were all safe. But it was a close call.
There was one person that was close, really literally within 10 seconds of being in the room where the car crashed.
The crash happened near this intersection where 6 roads meet. While Zoutendijk says they haven't seen many major crashes here, it can be confusing for some people. One neighbor who did not want to be on camera spoke with us about it.
There's not much besides construction to make it better. I think a lot of people in this area are aware about the intersection, so you kind of have to learn how to go about it.
Very fortunate that it was late at night, no other traffic or very little traffic on the road, because that's a very heavily traveled intersection.
Lake Oswego police are still investigating and say there's no indication at this point that drugs or alcohol were involved. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
The two sides in a federal lawsuit over dams and salmon agreed to take a 1-year pause to see if they can find a long-term solution. The basic argument is that dams on the lower Snake River and on the Columbia kill wild salmon, and they're pushing them to the edge of extinction. On the other side, utilities argue hydropower makes up nearly half the electricity used in Oregon, that it's green, and that knocking down any of the dams would have disastrous consequences. Advocates on both sides say the 1-year pause in the lawsuit is a good step.
We see this stay as a really great step in the process, being able to sit down at the table and talk through in the next number of months what is the right operation for that river. That's the right thing to do, because ultimately what we want to do is balance the needs for fish and the needs for hydro.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee and Senator Patty Murray also announced today they will study the question of breaching the dams and whether there's a reasonable way of replacing the benefits of those dams. Looking ahead to The Story at 6 o'clock, the same Oregon school board that drew national attention and sparked student protests for banning Black Lives Matter and pride flags is back in the headlines. This time, board members are suing constituents. Maggie Vespa's here now with a look ahead. Maggie.
Yeah, this is a fascinating story. Definitely our producers have been digging on this one all day. In fact, Brian Shannon, the Newberg school board member, I think we have his photo here, who initiated the ban on political symbols along with 3 other conservative members of the board. Those four conservative members are suing 4 community members for allegedly doxing them. Doxing, if you're not familiar, is when you post documents containing someone's personal info online without their consent, like their address or where they work. The lawsuit claims these 4 defendants posted about the school board members on social media, about where they live and work, and the lawyer for these board members says this is ruining their lives. Our producer tracked that lawyer down and talked to him late today from his car. Take a listen.
It is clear that attempts were made to get people fired from their jobs, have their art taken down, contact their employers. I mean, these are personal attacks, organized and publicly discussed on social media.
So in today's online world, doxing is such a big problem that the Oregon legislature actually took it up this summer and passed a law allowing for civil penalties like this lawsuit. So translated to non-lawyer terms, you can now sue someone in Oregon for doxing you, especially if negative repercussions come from that. So the school board now testing that case. We will dive into this in depth at 6 on The Story.
Definitely tune in for that. Really interesting. Thank you, Maggie.
Sure.
We'll see you then.